because the two companies that make the abortion drug mifepristone have asked the Supreme Court to pause a lower court ruling that cut off telemedicine access to the pills nationwide, including in states where abortion is legal. On Friday, 3 judges in Louisiana's Fifth Circuit Court ruled in favor of the state's request to temporarily halt telehealth access to the drug, while a legal battle over its broader availability continues to play out. Following that decision, the pharmaceutical companies asked the court for a stay on the ruling, saying it, quote, injects immediate confusion and upheaval into highly time-sensitive medical decisions, forcing the company, medical providers, patients, and pharmacies to, quote, guess at what's allowed and what is not. I don't know how that's anything but true. Louisiana has banned abortion in nearly all circumstances. Following the Supreme Court's ruling, advocacy groups stressed doctors can still use telehealth to prescribe the other abortion pill, misoprostol, which can be used on its own to end pregnancies and carries fewer restrictions. But this is a 2-step drug regimen. These 2 drugs are supposed to be used in tandem with each other. That's what's safest and most effective. I want to bring in senior healthcare reporter for Politico, Alice Miranda Olstein. Alice, you and I have been watching these court battles, but for folks who might have seen this news on Friday and said, wait a second, now the abortion pill is being halted, it can't be prescribed through telehealth. Talk us through what got to this point and what the court is actually saying here.
Yes, so this is something that conservative states and conservative advocacy groups, religious groups, anti-abortion activists have been trying for a long time. They almost got there in 2023 when a different abortion pill challenge made it all the way up to the Supreme Court. But ultimately, that was sort of set aside on procedural grounds, and they never really got to the heart of the issue. But here we are again, back before the Supreme Court, a Supreme Court that said they were done dealing with this issue when they sent it back to the states with Dobbs, but they're clearly not done with the issue. And so, yes, in a sense, this is a long time coming. In another sense, this is really the first major rollback of abortion access nationwide, including in blue states, including in states that have protections on the books for abortion. People in those states are now going to have harder access if they can't make it to a clinic in person.
And what about in the meantime, as the drug companies say, this causes a lot of confusion? What should people who are watching know? Are they still able to get this drug through telehealth or not?
So they are not able to get the first pill in the 2-pill regimen. So this is a 2-pill combination that is used in more than 2/3 of abortions nationwide.
Yes, this is the most prevalently used form of abortion.
Absolutely. And access to it by telemedicine is a major reason the total number of abortions has gone up, not down, since Dobbs. It's a way that a lot of people in these states with bans, including Louisiana, have been obtaining these pills over the past few years. And that's what they're trying to put a stop to. So like you said, patients can still get the second pill, misoprostol. They have to take a higher dose of it in order to effectively terminate a pregnancy. And it carries more side effects, and there's a greater chance of failure in that they'll need to have a follow-up surgical abortion. So this is not really stopping abortions. It's not even stopping just telehealth abortions, but it's making them more challenging and potentially, more risky for patients, even though it's still largely safe.
It also, because the policy and the politics are always together on this, brings abortion back into the forefront ahead of the 2026 midterms at a time when, quite frankly, the president and the White House are pushing and punting a review of mifepristone until after the midterm elections. This is something that has somewhat angered the anti-abortion base within the Republican Party, and yet the politics would tell you it's probably the right political move for Republicans who find themselves out of step with a large swath of the American public that feels, 6 in 10 of them, abortion should be safe and legal in most cases.
That's right. So this is not something the administration wanted to deal with. In fact, in this very case, they have been telling various federal courts, stay out of this, let the FDA do its internal review, let us work through the process ourselves, don't intervene. And courts did not accept that. They accepted Louisiana's bid that they need something right away.
Where do you think someone like the HHS Secretary RFK Jr. comes in on something like this? Because he has been the target of criticism, including from former Vice President Mike Pence, saying he's a pro-abortion HHS secretary who isn't doing enough on this issue.
Yeah, so he's sort of getting, criticized from both sides. Before he was in this position, he did support abortion rights. This was an issue when he was briefly running for president himself.
Yes.
But there was a lot of back and forth. And
I made news with him on that
exactly.
because he didn't seem to know what his own policy was on it.
Right. And And look, I mean, I think this is a message that is coming from the White House saying, you know, we do not want to deal with this right now. We want the FDA to do its internal review. But that has frustrated, like you said, not only activists, but lawmakers on Capitol Hill, like Josh Hawley, who have been pressuring the FDA to, you know, hurry it up and impose restrictions. But the court seems to have beat them to it.
Despite the fact that the FDA approved this medication as safe and effective in the first place decades ago, and it has remained so. We'll keep tracking this. Senior healthcare reporter for Politico, Alice Miranda Olstein. This is a huge story through the courts, through the policy lens, and definitely through the politics. Thank you.